It is a period of Star Wars mania, as new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
Welcome back, everybody, to Inside the Force. Happy New Year. It is 2014. This is episode 40 of Inside the Force. I'm David Cottingham here, of course, with me, as always, Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody. Put on your extra large shirts. This is episode XL.
It is episode XL. And back from a couple weeks of break, enjoying the holidays.
Staying healthy.
Staying healthy, yeah. Both of us were kind of under the weather at some point. I was under the weather bad.
Yeah.
Some stomach virus that kept me out for a while. So we never planned on not doing the last couple weeks of December, but we ended up, taking the break. The entire network basically did. So we only got in 3 episodes of episode 5 month, which was December. So actually, now that this is January, we are going to start episode 6 month. We're going to profile characters and vehicles and whatnot from episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And if you're like us, you've been enjoying Star Wars Holiday this weekend on Spike.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's playing right now, right?
Right.
So,
well, yeah, while we're recording this,
yeah.
I'm sure episode 6 is on probably.
Yep. So we've been I've been watching a little bit of that, and obviously when it's been on. So we're going to dive into episode 6 this month of January now. We were going to talk about Lando in episode 5 months, so we're probably going to move him over because he's in episode 6.
That's a big part.
So that's really the only one we were debating on doing in episode 5 month, but we'll do that later. We'll get in some news. Hardly anything out there, but there was a big announcement that came. And then, of course, we'll do some trivia and continue the ball into 2014.
2014. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year, yeah.
A year and 11 months until episode 7.
Oh, yes. Well, almost 2 years, basically. 2 years, yeah. A little under 2 years. But we got Star Wars Rebels coming.
That's true.
This fall.
Good.
So hopefully there's a lot of news coming out about that, as well as episode 7.
Yeah, bonus content later this year.
That's right. Yes, Clone Wars content. Absolutely.
Sweet.
So starting off this episode, we are gonna, in this month, we are gonna tackle a very unknown, unusual creature in the Star Wars universe, and that is the Sarlacc.
The Sarlacc, indeed.
And that is simply the name. I know a lot of people refer to it as the Sarlacc pit, but it's not just a pit. It's an actual creature.
This is a real thing.
And what we're about to tell you is going to blow your mind. Because I didn't know any of this stuff, and this is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So we're, instead of kind of taking sections of this thing, we're just going to talk about it, and we're going to both just kind of spit out some knowledge about the Sarlacc. Now, it is the biological classification of this thing is a semi-sentient, and it's plant-like.
Yeah.
And it's an omnivorous creature.
Yeah.
And it's not just found on Tatooine.
Right.
It's actually on several different planets.
Yeah, there's actually a list of known locations.
There is. I know one is on
Felucia.
Felucia.
Yeah, and you see it in actually the
Force Unleashed game.
Unleashed, yeah.
Correct. And actually, Shakti was basically was able to tame the thing.
Yeah,
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
and it's weird because playing that game, I didn't even realize that was a Sarlacc.
I forgot. It's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, because I just remember it being huge.
Yeah, and taming it because, like what you said, it's semi-sentient, it's plant-like. It's also, it's like you think it's an animal,
right?
Like I thought it was an animal, thought it was just
it basically is an animal,
Yeah.
and then it takes the characteristics of a plant as
Yeah.
it gets bigger.
like it doesn't have a skeleton,
Correct.
but it's got tentacles, it's got roots.
It's
and
very
and
muscular. It's got
the way
all
it
muscles.
reproduces is much like a plant and an animal, actually. But-
Right. So, and that's the thing is how so starting off how it basically mates and procreates is that, so these things don't always start off that big.
Yeah.
Starts off as a spore.
Yeah.
So after the mating happens, the spore is actually released into the atmosphere and it leaves the planet and basically searches for a planet to land on. And when it lands, like I said, it's not big yet.
Yeah.
So it starts to feed on animals
Yeah.
to get bigger. And it's actually, I mean, it's just an animal. It's basically a creature.
It's
Crawls around
weird.
and kills and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And what's funny is it's even if it gets eaten,
yeah.
right? If it gets eaten whole, it eats and kills
Yeah.
the thing from the
Yeah.
inside.
If it's like swallowed whole,
Correct.
it's not like chewed in half. It'll kill.
It'll kill from the inside and then get bigger and bigger.
No.
And then when it gets to a point where it's big enough, and I guess it's because it has 8 appendages.
Yeah, they're not
Right?
real. Like the picture, you will tweet a picture of this thing.
Yes.
It looks like it kind of has like flippers in a way. I don't know what you would call it. Appendages, I guess.
There
Most
are,
accurate.
it's like
thing.
4 on top
Yeah.
and 4 in the back.
like a few tentacles on the bottom, a few roots on the bottom.
Yeah, and then as it gets big enough, then it actually digs into the ground
Yeah,
and becomes a pit.
Yeah.
In a sense, it basically buries its body and takes root, and that's where the plant-like
Yeah.
starts kicking in.
Yeah.
It starts taking root and grabbing the nutrients from the soil or the ground where it's in. And it basically, what's weird is that, like the desert is not the ideal climate. It can do the desert, but they want more of a plant-like, like Flutia.
yeah, Flutia. Yeah,
Flutia.
yeah. If you know the planet, it's plants everywhere.
It's all plants.
It's a big planet.
So this thing, and here's the thing: so as a young creature, it actually can move around. It can dig in different spots. It can get out and dig again and just plant somewhere. But as it gets bigger and bigger, then it basically stays more immobile.
Yeah.
Becomes more immobile. And that's where so when it is buried, and you see what you see like in episode 6, the pit. That's its mouth open.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Because in the original, before they added the beak, before the special editions came out, it was just that mouth pit. And you thought it was just a really weird pit thing.
Yeah, just a pit
like
with maybe
like a sinkhole thing.
a
or
sink.
something.
Yeah, almost. It's really weird, but
And since they added the beak, first I thought the beak was the mouth.
correct, but it's not.
No, it's
It's the tongue. It's the extension of the tongue.
yeah.
So all Sarlacc pits now have the beak. Now, so a lot of people might question, like, well,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah.
Is the beak just added to that one? No, the Sarlaccs have beaks, and it's an extension of the throat, and the tongue of the beak is actually another tentacle. So it has all these tentacles still, and then the teeth are pointed downwards so that if something gets trapped, it can't get back out.
This is the worst thing.
Oh my god,
ever.
it's scary as hell. So it has these tentacles and it has the beak, so it's able to grab stuff, pull it in, and pull it into its beak. And the beak, like I said, the beak actually has another tentacle as its tongue.
Yeah.
It can grab prey and pull it in. And the real cool thing I didn't know either, that so instead of just sitting there and waiting for something to fall into it, it actually releases a pheromone almost to kind of attract
Animals or any kind of scavenger or something like that.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah. And because it makes sense now that I know that beak is a beak and tongue thing. Because what, I was always confused in episode 6 when one guy fell into the pit. I thought the beak should eat it because I thought that was the mouth, but the body fell just into the pit outside of the beak, and I thought that was always a mistake. I was like, I feel like I thought he rolled into the mouth. He was rolling into the mouth the whole time.
Well, he has to go into the mouth, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I thought the beak was the mouth.
Oh.
I thought he should have fallen into the beak. So I thought that was the mouth. But now it makes sense because that's just the tongue, basically. So he does fall into the mouth. Everything's correct. Everything's fine. I was just confused.
Wait, so is there a gap? You're saying there's a gap between the
well,
beak
you didn't
and
see it. It was like you just saw him falling in. You saw the beak out here and the guy rolling into the pit.
Yeah.
And the beak was still hanging out, like making its little screeching sound or whatever. So you didn't see a hole. You didn't see him fall into a hole. You just saw him fall out of frame. And I just thought, like, well, why isn't he falling into the mouth, like into the beak? But obviously that's the tongue. So that's why. That's why that confusion's there.
So is there a space? But
I think there is. There has to be. Yeah, there's got to be something. Maybe there's a tight space between the tongue, beak thing, and the actual mouth, like esophagus, whatever it has. Because you there's a shot when it like digests or it swallows that one thing. Maybe it was Boba Fett, and it kind of burps a little bit, whatever. Like there's a shot of just the mouth, and it kind of makes like a burping sound.
Because isn't there? I thought there was an overhead shot.
There is, yeah.
Looking down.
Look on their
like
that
when
page
Luke
right there,
when Luke walks up and looks down.
Yeah, but you see the beak is kind of, I think, covering that hole. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
shot?
but
is there another one?
Yeah, but when there's a shot where Luke walks to the edge of the plank,
yeah,
and it looks down, and doesn't seem to be a gap.
Maybe it's just like falls like maybe like your tongue in your own mouth, like maybe it just kind of slides in there. Maybe it has to go down into the mouth, so it's got to slide past the beak into its throat, I guess, in a sense, into the stomach.
Well, you
think it's done differently?
That's where it's confusing, because this is, even though it's called a tongue,
yeah,
it says, I think it's an extension of the throat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So if you could imagine, it's basically the throat,
mm-hmm.
but it has a beak on it.
So you're saying that it actually needs to go inside the beak?
I think it needs to go inside the beak.
Well, then there's a mistake still.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, then that's still...
Because there's that one shot where there's that one shot where the Trandosh, is it no, it's not Trandoshan. What's that guy?
The Weequay thing?
The Weequay.
Yeah.
When he's tangled up and it drags him into the beak, and he does eat him.
Mm-hmm.
The beak does eat him.
That's confusing. And then our research here doesn't necessarily give us that information, but it basically just goes down that little throat, and once it gets inside the body, it's just how it's digested is literally the worst case scenario. I feel like, because like once it goes down into the throat, because the Sarlacc, the way Sarlacc is, it doesn't need to eat a lot. It's supposed to be able to survive off very little food for a long time, because it lasts 20 to 50,000 years. So you think it might need to eat a lot, but it really doesn't.
It doesn't.
So, because it gets nutrients from the actual earth itself, but whenever something falls into it and it eats it, whatever, it stores it in certain stomachs. Like for small things, it goes in one stomach. For larger creatures, it goes into another stomach of the Sarlacc. So like Boba Fett or whoever that was eaten went inside the Sarlacc's stomach, and it kind of like the Sarlacc kind of held it there with its veins inside, and like pushes its prey inside its stomach. It kind of pushes it against the stomach wall, so it like basically all these veins and all these vessels are attaching itself to the bodies, absorbing all the nutrients from its skin.
Right.
It's so disgusting, and it's digested over a slow period of time, so you're still alive. It actually keeps you alive a little bit to so it can feed on you for a long time.
Right.
It's so crazy. It's really it's disgusting. It's but
yeah. It just says the Sarlacc had a large beak that emerged from the throat.
Yeah.
The beak, in reality, was the Sarlacc's tongue, and the tongue within the tongue was actually yet another tentacle that aided in swallowing prey. Yeah. So it doesn't technically say that it has to go into the. So in this picture here too, it also looks like see this picture. It does look like there's space,
but
around.
I think it funnels in. I don't know. Yeah.
So I don't know if it gets trapped in there and it has to like use its tentacles to grab it and put it in its beak.
That might be Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just the only confusing part. I'm with you. The only confusing part is that shot in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Where it's looking down over Luke's shoulder, and there's no gap.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's what's weird.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if it actually.
I thought it was just kind of like.
Yeah, it could expand.
It expands and falls in there or something because it's like a tight.
It's possible
thing.
Now, here's the thing. It does have. There are two different stomachs.
Yeah, for smaller creatures and for larger creatures. Yeah.
So it's possible that maybe the beak goes one stomach and
maybe
that goes. I don't know. You know that it doesn't really
crazy.
It doesn't really say. But
yeah.
Anyway, this thing is.
And this
thing is massive. It can become. It says it become. What about 100 meters?
About 100 meters, yeah,
in length.
Yeah. And one thing I thought was interesting that like the only creatures that could actually take on a Sarlacc was a crate dragon,
right?
And this other type of dragon that actually feeds on Sarlacc.
Yeah, they actually attack Sarlacc.
That's crazy to me. Yeah, I think of a crate dragon fighting a Sarlacc. That would be so cool.
That would be incredible. Yeah,
but and there's a lot of expanded universe stuff. Like if you all know, like it's one of the most famous kind of I think plot stories that come out of that accomplish.
There's the shot. I was talking
about. Yeah, that's shot.
So
you can't see anything.
It doesn't look like there's a gap.
No, it doesn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have to watch. We have to watch that scene again or something.
Yeah,
just watch the whole movie again. But one of the kind of like more famous storylines that come out of the expanded universe is the story of Boba Fett escaping the Sarlacc pit, and like how he's like one of the only people to actually escape. Starkiller kind of does, I guess, in The Force Unleashed. You think he like goes inside of it and comes out or whatever, but Boba Fett apparently blows himself out of the Sarlacc or something like that.
Yeah, and that's in an expanded universe. That's the expanded universe,
right? Yeah. So, and I've always wondered, like, will they actually do that in like in episode 7, 8, and 9? Will they bring Boba Fett back and do something like that or whatever? But I don't think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's very cool, and actually, like the Sarlacc actually has a name, like the pit itself, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, the Sarlacc.
So known locations.
Yeah.
Felucia is what we mentioned.
Some weird planet.
It's called the Ancient Abyss on Felucia, and then Argonar, Dathomir, which we know Dathomir, Durun, Sokoru, Tatooine, of course, and that's called the Great Pit of Carkoon.
Yeah.
And then the Ancient Tatooine Ruins. So somewhere else.
Yeah. Crazy. So remember, there's one Star Wars game, the Jedi Academy, where there's one level where you go to, I think it is Tatooine, and you have to like try not to be eaten by the Sarlacc or whatever. And Battlefront, you go on Tatooine, there's a Sarlacc pit there. It's the same one, I think. And you can't go near it, or it's like the tentacle will grab you and throw you into the pit. Scary.
This is a crazy creature.
And there's a picture, I think it must be a comic book of it, like busting out of a animal. I think that just ate it. Ugh.
Yeah.
The worst. But we'll tweet a picture of this creature.
Yeah.
It looks terrifying. Because there's no skeleton, so it's like it has skin, but it's like covered in like plates, and I guess it's like a root material. I don't know. It's weird that it's like plant and animal. It's like a Venus flytrap, but 1 billion times worse, basically. Yeah.
The lifespan measures between 20 to 50,000 years.
Yeah.
So
it digests you for about 1,000 years, as Jabba said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, crazy.
There's a lot more detail stuff with the mating that we won't get into. How it actually mates, besides the spore thing. Because it's really bizarre.
Yeah, we kind of just mentioned it briefly, but the male attaches to a female and grows basically.
Like sucks the life out of it.
Yeah. It becomes the same. It's a lot smaller, but becomes the same size, and then releases the spore. Yeah. Really weird.
And it's not known where they actually come from, because the whole like traveling the space travel thing. So it's weird. Like, what came first, the Sarlacc or the spore? Honestly, like that's so weird. It's bizarre. I wonder if we'll actually see it again. in episode 7 or any of the Star Wars
Maybe
movies.
the Rebels
Yeah.
TV show, definitely.
I think it'd be cool to see it again. Get some more information about it.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure about I'm trying to look for this throat thing, but not I think when I first kind of researched it, I felt like it has to go through the beak, but
Yeah. Well, I just remember that one
That being
shot
the
where the
throat.
thing fell into the pit, but it didn't fall into the beak. So maybe, I'll have to watch that scene again to make sure.
yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Anyway, that's the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
Part of episode 6 month. So, want to check that? I think you can. I think it'd be interesting to watch that scene again, knowing
Yeah,
the facts.
we definitely should.
It's definitely something to watch.
Mhm.
All right, so let's move on to whatever news we've gotten these past couple weeks.
Well, I'll just go ahead and hit you up with the biggest piece of news. This was back January 3rd. It was announced that Marvel has finally acquired the license to publish Star Wars comics and graphic novels, and they got it back because they initially did own the rights.
They did,
They published the first Star Wars comic back in '77,
which I have,
which you have, yes, indeed.
number one.
and then they lost. Oh, they didn't lose it, but they Dark Horse bought it from them, I guess. Back in early '90s, '91, because it says it started publishing Star Wars comics with Dark Empire, the comic Dark Empire. I guess that might have been its first thing back in '91. And it's been doing all the comics ever since. And they've been releasing a lot of good stuff. There's the Star Wars Legacies, and I feel like they were the ones who actually brought Boba back. I'm not sure, from the Sarlacc.
Yeah, I think so. They did all the Tales of the Jedi line.
Yeah, they did a lot of stuff. Dark Empire is a fantastic
Dark Empire
comic. It's
was
great.
big.
It's a great comic.
They adapted obviously all the movies.
Yeah.
Into graphic novels.
And they're right now doing Star Wars.
They're doing Star Wars.
They're Star Wars.
They're doing Dawn of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm. And there's a new series coming out now, starring Darth Vader.
Yes.
They're just not coming out.
And Vader
with.
had another one called Dark Times that
Mhm.
they were doing.
There's a lot of Clone Wars. And Darth Maul had some.
Called Death Sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I got that series. It was a little five issue miniseries.
Very cool. A buddy of mine read some of the Tales of the Jedi, I think.
Tales of the Jedi, yeah.
Read that.
I've got a
He really
series of
liked
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big fan of that.
Yeah, it's interesting because this starts in 2015, so that'll give them this year to kind of figure out, I guess, what storylines and what artists and writers are going to grab.
Well, I remember reading some tweets about some of the people who wrote for like Tales of the Jedi, saying like, they're basically sounding like they weren't going to write anymore. Then they say, it was a good run. I love what I did with Dark Horse. I don't think I have been asked back or something like that to work on more. So it's, from what I've been reading, it sounds like they're not going to continue. Maybe not all of them, but some of the issues. some of the series, some of the titles.
Well, and that's the biggest question: is what are they going to do with the titles, right? So, it's. I would assume that they're all going to start. They're going to do what DC did and start with all new number ones.
So they rebooted. Right. Marvel rebooted themselves, so they're probably will do it again with Star Wars. Like, do you think that they'll try to tie it in with the movies and actually make a continuity?
Well, that's okay. So this is the talk me and Russ had on in the comics.
Yeah.
He asked my opinion, and I said this is the perfect opportunity for Marvel, for Disney, to make sure that the comics at least stay in the same universe, because this is where it gets a little tricky. Because right now, if you're a diehard Star Wars fan, right now, technically the movies and the Clone Wars television show are the only canon. Everything that's been printed, comics, novels, digital comics, whatever, technically those are not canon.
I guess the only games would be Force Unleashed.
And the Force, exactly. Unless it's been directly talked about by George and included. Correct. Yeah. So Force Unleashed is definitely canon. you know, nothing that's been printed technically is canon,
No.
right?
Mm-mm.
So I think and we're gonna obviously start checking a lot of that off too once these movies start coming out. All this expanded universe stuff that's happened after episode 6, you know, with the Solo twins, with Ben Skywalker, with Anakin Solo, with, you know,
Mara
Thrawn,
Jade.
Thrawn. Admiral Thrawn, you know, all these things could technically not be ever have happened in the universe. So, and then you get into the problem with, yes, the comics. Now, a lot of the comics now, I think technically are safe because, you know, like the Old Republic stuff takes place so many years. You know, Bane is canon.
Yes, he is.
So, you know, whatever comics and books have been out with Bane, that's technically part of it. So it's weird that you can, and this doesn't even include the actual novelizations. This doesn't talk about that. This is simply comics and graphic novels. So Del Rey, which publishes the books based off Lucas books, they're the publishers of the novels. Now, I tried to look up that. There's no mention yet about the novels.
Of like if they're being
like what's happening.
Hands.
Yeah, well, like who's going to be publishing the novels still, because Del Rey actually doesn't have them anymore. I think it just ended in 2013. And there hasn't been an announcement yet who is doing the publishing. The company is called Random House, and they have Del Rey, they have a couple other publishing house, but Del Rey is the one that's been doing the Star Wars novels. So that's a question too. Who's going to be doing the book publishing, the novelization publishers? So I don't know. It's to me, this is their chance. You know, not and Russ kind of made this argument, which I agree with. You don't have to make the comics a necessity. You know, like you have to read this in order to go watch this movie.
Yeah.
But since we're getting a movie every year, not just an episode, but we're getting tie-ins, I just think that you have to make sure that if the comic books are in that same time period, that they have to be part of that universe.
Absolutely.
So I described it like this. DC and Marvel, the comic books and the characters, there's so many, and they've already introduced this. Both of them have introduced these multi-universes, right? So DC has these different Earths that happen. You know, the TV shows are on one Earth. You know, this Dark Knight Returns is on this, you know, this Earth. You know, whatever. I can buy that. And Marvel has the same thing. They have Ultimate Universe. They have different. Well, I think almost 10 out of 10. I think if you ask Star Wars fan, they want one universe.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you have to focus on. I think if you can just make the books just exist in that universe, whether or not they have to interact with the movies or not, I don't agree they should.
I mean, that's what the expanded universe has been doing.
That's right.
They just keep getting contradicted.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's the problem because, well, and you know, and it's safe in a sense where it's only been recently that they allowed books to be written during the movies, right? There was nothing ever allowed between 3 and 4 until now. I think an Obi-Wan book just came out that he's hiding out on Tatooine. So how much is that is going to be canon? You know, is there a movie going to come out that's going to totally contradict that? You have this comic, which is, to me, sounds like maybe one of the most successful comics that Dark Horse has done, the Star Wars comic right now that they're doing. Is that going to end? And, you know, that fits really well into the movies.
Yeah.
Is that canon? I mean,
I think it's just like right now it's considered just like all the other EU until it's contradicted by the movies or Clone Wars. I mean,
but see that's what I think needs to stop.
Yeah,
is at some point it's got to be included.
Yeah,
and now that Lucas is not in charge, there is Disney, and then there is, I'm assuming, a group of advisors that overlook what gets published and what gets made. Hopefully through Kathleen Kennedy, that I'm assuming they're going to appoint somebody, you know, in charge of the digital, the books.
Keeper,
correct?
Something.
Yeah, somebody that's in charge of the archives, and start That's my suggestion. They need whoever's in charge, one or two people that are in charge of the stories that are told through the comics. They need to actually, I think, go back and gather up all of the stuff that's been printed, and figure out what's and bring in what's real, what's continuity, what's canon, and then what's not canon.
I think that's kind of.
I mean, they're doing that.
With the guys like Leland Chan, I think I forget the Holocron Keeper. I think he has something like that, and I think he probably knows. And he probably can tell you what's canon and what's not. Pretty much, I think it's just movies, TV show, everything else is whatever. It's on its own thing. But yeah,
it is. But at some point, I think you have to start gathering up what's in those books, like this comic right now. You know, that's happening between 4 and 5. What happened to Boba Fett? You know, I mean, honestly, I think anything episode 6 and sooner. So prior to what we're getting in episode 7. So anything from the Battle of Endor and before, I think you can technically, if it fits, make it canon. But anything after episode 7 or episode 6, I'm sorry, I think it's dead in the water.
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be. Unless they bring it into episode 7 somehow. You know what I mean? That's the only way that's going to survive.
I mean, you have to. I like that idea of like keeping at least some of those books, because there's some good books. There's some great stories out there.
But the majority of it takes place after episode 6.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot, though, around the episode 1 time. The Clone Wars has a lot of books. A lot of books in Clone Wars. I can think of a few books between 3 and 4. One with Darth Vader, which is pretty cool. Like Shadows of the Empire, you know, that book.
That was between 5 and 6.
Yeah, so
yes.
Like, you know, that could be
and that,
kept.
Hopefully that's canon, because that's pretty dang good.
There's Truce at Bakura, I think. That's a book.
That's right after 6.
Right after 6? Okay,
yes, that is like the very first thing.
Yeah.
It actually starts with they're on Endor still celebrating. Okay. So, because I read that book. There isn't much, like I said, between 3 and 4, there isn't really that much.
No, there's a lot of junior novels.
Like I said, that new one that came out with Obi-Wan.
Oh, it was Obi-Wan. And there's an even smaller like junior novel of Obi-Wan. And there's one like right after episode 3 called Dark Lord. It's like this like trilogy thing.
Now, seeing what makes that Obi-Wan somewhat canon is that the audiobook is done by James Arnold Taylor. His voice.
Oh, because it's Obi-Wan.
Because he's the voice of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, because I listened to an excerpt of it, and I was like, man, I want to hear this.
Yeah.
I want to listen to this book. So
that's cool.
Because it talks about him, practicing the connection with Qui-Gon and stuff.
Bring up the books, like the timeline that they have, like the.
Yeah, well, and like I said, there's a ton that's after episode 6, because you have the Throne trilogy that's part of that.
Gosh, that's so good.
You have, you have Dark Empire.
Dark Empire's right after 6.
Yeah, Dark Empire is right after that. You have Dark Empire 2, because there's a whole another story after that. Then you have all of the. Is that not all the Rogue Squadron X-wing stuff? Right? Is after.
That's after.
So you have all of that.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, and then you have the Jedi Academy, right? The new Jedi Academy.
Yeah,
is all after that.
There's some. Most of the books that I've read, which most of the books I own, are after all that stuff. Let's see, I have it right here. I'm trying to figure out really quick. Episode 1. This isn't a very good one. There's a lot of Clone Wars stuff. But yeah, like. Because I know there's some friends of mine who... So when this whole deal went down, this whole merger, Lucasfilm and Disney, a buddy of mine was saying, like if they're talking about like a Han Solo spinoff, if they did Han Solo, he would have to be in the Academy. Or like this would have to be in the movie. It's like, no, it doesn't. It really, it's not going to be at all. Because, like, you know, we've said this before, if episode 7 is 35 years in the past 6... and Chewbacca's alive in episode 7, that's already killing everything pretty much, because 25 years after episode 6, or after the Battle of Yavin even,
he dies.
He dies, yeah. So that would already kill a bunch of stuff. Or if Luke Skywalker's not married by 35 ABY or anything, or whatever, then yeah, it's so ridiculous. So yeah, I just found it actually right here. This list of there's some books, and like I was thinking that there were a lot of kind of like the junior novels, like the young adult novels, whatever, like the really thick ones. I mean, thin ones, sorry, those really little ones. Like, there was a series called The Last of the Jedi that was in between the 3 and 4, the Han Solo trilogy. And there was actually a few books about Lando that were written actually in 83, like right after Episode 6 came out. Yeah, I mean, it's mostly it. There's a thing about Luke Skywalker, but there's not much. I mean, and the ones that are written are grouped are so close together in the timeline. Like, there's a lot of them are 19 BBY right after Episode 3. A lot of them are 18 BBY, and there's just a few scattered here and there. But there's a lot of uncovered territory, and they of course include the Force Unleashed novelizations, and there's tons of comic books in between 3 and 4 as well. But yeah, nothing substantial. The Han Solo trilogy, I think, is probably one of the more famous ones that come out in between. I
read those.
I haven't read those yet. But yeah, most of it, I mean, even during the movies, like 4, 5, and 6, there's not much. There's little things here and there.
And that's what's. It's not really upsetting because I understand, but that's what we can clearly see from Episode 7. Is that they're not taking into consideration what has happened in the books.
Right.
They're continuing from Episode 6.
Yeah.
So,
but I think we should definitely see Coruscant, though. Elements of the prequels, and like things like Coruscant, and there's another character that was mentioned that was actually pulled from the expanded universe, which I guess that was a George Lucas decision, I suppose, but I don't know if Disney's going to do the same kind of stuff. They might pull little things from the expanded universe, but Coruscant was a pretty big move. That was pretty cool. But they've got like thousands of planets, so already listed.
Because that's the thing too, is like it's not technically the expanded universe anymore.
Which part? What do you mean?
Anything,
yeah.
Because it's not part of that universe. Technically,
right.
It's not expanded.
It's
like an alternate reality.
Yeah,
almost.
Yeah.
So, and that's where I kind of have a problem with, because I always envisioned like the expanded universe being still part of that same universe. Now a lot of it isn't. So
because in the expanded universe, it's hard to the EU, whatever. In their eyes, whatever, the movies are included.
Correct.
They think of themselves as expanding.
That's right.
According to the movies, it's like
the movies are canon.
Yeah. I bought all those books
because you're right. Because the books take in effect what happens in the movies.
Yes, and each other.
And the movies do not, and each other. Correct.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing is the books are they've kept a good job of if something happens in this book, he can't be alive in this book or whatever. Yeah. And that's what was made it so great. But now that the movies are going to completely contradict some of the stuff that's in the books, that's what I mean. Like, this is the chance.
Yeah. Now
that Disney owns Star Wars, this is the chance to make all of it into one universe. Mm-hmm. Come out with a definitive timeline, restructure the time, because there is a timeline out there.
There is, yeah.
But now you have to restructure it and make sure you make a definitive timeline and keep all this stuff. Because I think that would just be really unique if everything in the movies, everything in the comics, everything in the novels, they all were part of the same universe.
Very cool.
I mean,
that'd be very cool. And it just kills me because, like, in middle school and early high school, when I was really into the expanded universe and I was buying all these books, there's still quite a few books I haven't read of the expanded universe, and I don't think I'm going to read them now.
I know. You really can't.
Why would I read them? I mean, I've read a lot of them, but
you really can't. But I told Russ in the comics, if they start with number ones in 2015, I will probably read every Star Wars comic.
Oh, yeah.
You want to get me to buy Marvel comics? This is how you get me to buy Marvel comics.
Well, yeah. I mean, another big but probably stupid question is: are they going to cross over the Marvel Universe?
Oh,
Star Wars?
I seriously doubt. Oh my god, no way.
I just heard
because this is a long time ago in a galaxy.
Time
far
travel,
away.
man.
Yeah, time travel.
The Guardians of the Galaxy will do something.
That's true. Oh my god, that would be. Oh my god.
Or maybe like Star Wars in current timeline. What's Star Wars doing right now?
Yeah.
Present. In a galaxy far, far away. Not a long time ago.
Oh my god, I would. No, that would be bad news.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
That's it. I mean,
That's
there's
pretty
little
much,
things,
yeah,
but nothing we're talking
really.
about.
All right, so let's do some trivia here. Man, I haven't. It's been a while since I looked at the trivia count here.
I think you're up by 3.
Am I up by 3?
I think so. I'm not guessing very well.
25 and 16. You are 22 and 19.
Okay.
So this being episode 6 month now, we're going to do questions between and you can, if you want to pick the number again.
1983.
Well, not going to be part of it.
Oh, that's
Return of the Jedi is from 2088. I'm sorry, 2086 to 2500. 2086 to 2500.
I don't care. Let's do 2100.
2100.
2100.
2100. All right. So, let's see. 2100. Select a question. 2100. And choose the answer. Okay, here we go. 2100. Return of the Jedi era. What happened to Lando Calrissian when he returned to Cloud City, which had been occupied by the Empire? This is Expanding Universe.
Expanding Universe, yeah.
What happened to Lando Calrissian when he returned to Cloud City, which had been occupied by the Empire? A malfunctioning Lobot attacked him. B, he was arrested by stormtroopers. C, Ugnaughts attacked him for back pay. Or D, he fell in love.
Oh. I feel like this should be like a both A and B question.
Wow.
I'm going to go with A.
You're going to go with A. A malfunctioning Lobot attacked him. Wow. Is there a reason behind that?
I feel like
you
I
read
heard
that story?
I don't know. I haven't read it, no, but I want to say I heard that somewhere, but it could be just...
I'm going to go with... I'm going to go with B, arrested by stormtroopers.
I mean, that's the most logical thing, but I feel like couldn't both happen? I don't know.
Both probably could have.
B's probably true. I'm probably guessing bad again.
Okay, so let's go with my answer, B.
Oh.
Incorrect. And it is A.
Yes.
A malfunctioning Lobot attacked him.
Moving up. Because I thought I've heard that, but I haven't read it.
Wow. Interesting. Malfunctioning Lobot.
Yeah.
Because he is a cyborg.
Yes.
All right. So that moves you up to 23 and 19. Moves me down to 25 and 17.
Cool.
All right. So that is episode 40.
Mm-hmm.
The Sarlacc. Some trivia. Starting off episode 6 month in 2014. You can reach us at InsideTheForce.com. That is where you can listen to all 40 episodes of this podcast. Go to 21network.com. Listen to all the shows on the network. We got a lot of stuff brewing right now for the network. Videos, ideas, as well as possibly some more shows added to this network here soon this year. Follow us at Inside the Force on Twitter. Hopefully we get some... the news to you as soon as it breaks. All this news that's coming with episode 7, with Clone Wars, with Star Wars Rebels coming out.
I expect a lot of casting.
Yes, casting news coming. And of course, we should be getting details. Maybe not for a while, but details that's coming for Comic-Con. Details that's coming for Star Wars Celebration next year in 2015. So there's a lot of stuff happening in the Star Wars galaxy that we are going to talk about here on this show. So keep tuning in. He is at Kryptonian1138. Yep. That's Casey on the Twitter. I'm DCottingham21 on Twitter. And we are back to a weekly show. So check us out every week right here. Inside the Forge. You can get us on iTunes. You can get us on Stitcher. You can get us on TuneIn Radio. All those apps. Or, like I said, you can go directly to InsideTheForce.com. You can listen straight from the website.
Watch your fan films.
Yes. Hit up our fan films. RiseOfTheTroopers.com. UnknownDiscovery.com. TheUnknownDiscovery.com. Those are our 2 fan films that we have released out there. Go check those out. Send us some feedback. Mm-hmm. Let us know what you want to listen to. Who you want us to profile. We are going to be going from episode 6 to episode 1.
Yeah.
So in February we have episode 1 month, and then 2 and 3 after that. So, all right. So for Casey Cooley,
you will therefore be taken to the Dune Sea and cast into the pit of Carkoon, the nesting place of the all-powerful Sarlacc.
Yes.
I think my favorite part, though, is when like, Han shouts back at him. It's like, 3PO.
Yeah.
You tell that slimy thing, whatever. We'll get no such pleasure from us.
Yes.
Right?
Love it. All right. Thanks for checking us out. All of 2013. Hope we keep expanding your knowledge, because we're expanding our own knowledge. So if you got anything to say or suggestions, just hit us up. All right, so we'll see you next week. Casey?
Goodbye, everybody.
Take care, everybody, and may the Force be with you.
This has been a production of the 21 Network. For more great podcasts, visit 21network.com. To view additional content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/21network. Follow us on Twitter at 21network for the latest news and updates. The 21 Network, for the fan and all of us.